is a book on the Desert Fathers, who were monks, and in some cases hermits, who lived completely alone, went into the desert of North Africa, left the world to go live by themselves in the desert. And I just want to share some of these stories, or just one particularly, then another one I have memorized. But I'll read this short one here, because it shows how opposite these monks were to what modern churches in America are today. Churches, at least the ones I've been to in California, are just like cesspools of safety, and I call them, they're sin factories, just breeding sin, and cesspools of evil. But these monks, man, these monks were basically like Jedi that went out into the desert, like Luke in Star Wars going out to find Yoda in that swamp planet Dagobah. And like then Yoda starts training him like ruthlessly on his back, and he's training and training and like practicing all this. It's like that's like these monks, obviously, but from a true perspective, without the science fiction. But these guys were in the desert going out to find lions, like not just like defending themselves against lions. They were going out looking for lions and fighting them. And then one dude, you'll see what happens, but and then like the older monks would make the younger monks go and like do ridiculous stuff in like the nearby towns where they traveled to, and like ridiculous things. But we'll read this story, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. But this is of obedience. So each little chapter is on like a certain topic, like love, which actually is the shortest one in here. But so like pray without ceasing and soberly. This one is on showing hospitality and mercy with cheerfulness. This one's on obedience, on humility, etc. Patience. So this is obedience. They used to tell of John, who was a disciple to the abbot Paul, that he was of great obedience. So this guy John they would say that he has great obedience. There was a certain place, a memorial monument, and in it lived the most evil lioness. The old man, seeing her dung about the place, said to John, "Go and take away that dung." And he said, "But what shall I do, Father, about the lioness?" And the old man, smiling, said to him, "If she comes out at you, bind her and bring her here." So the brothers set out that evening, and behold, the lioness came upon him. But he, obeying the old man's words, made a rush at her to take her. The lioness fled, and he followed after, saying, "Wait, for my abbot told me to bind you." And he held her and tied her. The old man, meanwhile, sat waiting, and the time grew long, and he began to be sorely uneasy about him, when, behold, he saw him coming down the road, and the lioness at the end of a rope behind him. The old man was astounded at the sight, but wishful to keep him humble, he struck him, saying, "Blockhead, have you brought me that foolish dog?" And straightway the old man loosed her and set her home to her own place. And yeah, there's no one out there. There's just like 2, 3 people. No one's there. They're not doing it for like show or anything. It's just completely on their own in the desert fighting lions. And then the old man, when the guy does what he tells him, the old man strikes him and says, "Why did you do that? Even though I told you to do that." And people were flocking out to the desert to find these monks in the tens of thousands. We're just going out into the desert trying to find these guys to just talk to them about God. And the church at the time was like, something's going on here, because there's like tens of thousands of people going out into the desert to talk to these guys about God. And that's when the church started to adopt monasticism. And they built monasteries that were kind of away from society and then started to adopt the monastic lifestyle. And then monasticism started to become a part of the church. And it still is today, but it's not as hardcore as the original desert fathers and mothers. There were women out there as well. Um, but they lived largely in solitude, but in the presence of the Lord at all times. And they were interesting. I want to study this more in depth. So it's a time in history and a part of the church that I want to look into more in depth, and I'll share what I find with you all. Just wanted to share that with you.